Yeah, joining me now is Oklahoma Senator and Armed Services Committee member Markwayne Mullin. Senator, I want to stick with that last thing she said, because I think that's the part where we really need to have a conversation. She says, well, it's not clear if he was radicalized before or after. And I think the part that we're glossing over here is maybe all these people were vetted. Maybe every one of them was vetted. How much can you vet someone from a war-torn country where they don't have any identity of national patriotism? Their identity is solely based on if they're Pashtun or what tribe they come from or what warlord they're serving. They fight with us because we have the same enemy, not because they believe in us. They come here thinking they're going to get a free ride. 4 years into it, now they got to pay taxes and work, and they think that the government's lied to them. So now they're susceptible to be radicalized. That's the whole point. Not that they came as a member of the Taliban, but they're still connected to that country where the Taliban rules.
Well, Joey, you're absolutely correct. There's two sets of individuals that, or actually there's several sets. There's refugees. There's one that came over the SIV, which is SIV, Special Immigration Visa, is a SIV. And then you have individuals like this guy who was actually worked with the CIA. He was operational for 10 years. He was part of a special unit. And he actually came in a month after withdrawal because, honestly, as people look into this, they'll probably find out that he was asked, and his unit was asked, to stay back to help secure some of the U.S. assets, continue to get U.S. AMSETs out, and then he came over a month later. The question is how much of his family came, because what we're starting to see, and you're going to hear more of this, Joey, come out, that a lot of these individuals that came here and they left a lot of family at home. Now, maybe their wife, their kids got here, maybe they didn't, but now the Taliban is using them as leverage points. And now we don't know that's actually what the case is here, but this is a real problem that's happening on down. Now, for this guy, maybe he totally different. Maybe he just had a switch that wasn't actually turning the lights on all the way. He had a mental breakdown. We don't know what the circumstances are, but we do know that he worked closely with the CIA for 10 years, and then something has taken place to have him perform these horrific acts. But we do need to take a hard look at these Afghans that came flooding in here. They seemed like to me, Joey, because I was part of the operation getting individuals out, and it was very public at the time because the Biden administration, especially Secretary Blinken, who's the worst liar in the world, that guy should be right up in charge just for lying to the American people about what was happening at the time. They were more worried about getting numbers out. Remember, they said they rescued, I forget how many thousands of individuals, but they never told you how many AMSETs, because they got more Afghan refugees out than they did actually AMSETs. That's why organizations like I worked with and organizations that you're aware of was working months and still working to this day getting AMSETs out of Afghanistan.
I was on the phone today with someone who's very connected to this program. Can't say his name. He couldn't come on TV. I followed this story since 2020. Obviously, I have a personal vested interest. I left a couple of legs over there, so I know this war pretty well. And I don't bring that up for anything other than to say I care. And his concern was 30,000 of these folks directly connected to this program came here, and they said, listen, we didn't teach them these things to bring them to the U.S. We taught them these things to continue fighting the bad guys in their country that they're fighting for after we leave. Would you support or even introduce some legislation to get them out of here and send them back over there?
Well, Joe, this organization specifically he is part of, there was 9,000 of them. And a lot of them was actually trained inside the U.S. and then went back to Afghanistan. What I really do believe that we need to do, we need to take a hard look at every single one of these individuals, find out what's going on, what their leverage points are. Is Afghanistan using them? We have I say Afghan, we have a Taliban is using them. Have they traveled back? We even have reports where people are traveling back to Afghanistan and coming back to the United States. If they leave and they're able to enter into Afghanistan, which is a Taliban-held country at this point, and able to get back out on their own, they're probably compromised. Joe, you know that as well as I do. That's not a free country to move around, especially underneath their rule. And we need to take a hard look. And the CIA is part of the people that need to do that, because the CIA was responsible for bringing some of these individuals in because they helped train them. And that was part of, I was told, part of their guarantee that if they were able to work with us and we were to withdraw, that they would have access to be able to come into the United States and rebuild their lives. I wasn't part of that program. This is what I was told, but I
Yeah.
believe it comes from very accurate sources, because if you're talking to an individual that you can't name, I imagine they have, the people I'm talking to have crossed paths.
Oh, I'm sure of it. Some of your colleagues are read in on this, we know. And, I don't even know if the CIA is really the bad guy here as much as the Biden administration coming in, putting people in charge that have a bleeding heart for this thing. I mean, we're talking about American veterans are homeless, and we're going to put these folks on government programs for years at a time and expect none of them to be turned. I don't understand the eye in the sky, the head in the clouds over that.
Yeah, and Joey, let me be very clear. This administration is cleaning up the mess from the previous administration. So it is the CIA, but it's not the current CIA. The current CIA underneath John Ratcliffe, they didn't have anything to do with this, but they've got to clean up the mess. The same thing that the Biden or that the Trump administration is doing is having to clean up the mess that the Biden administration has put us all in. Secretary Rubio is having to clean up the mess that Secretary Blinken has put us all in, and we're fighting tooth and nail. And so what President Trump is doing right now by putting a pause on it, what John Ratcliffe is doing right now by saying we're going to do a deep dive on it, what Kash Patel is doing right now by looking into all these individuals now that they're here inside the United States, this is a coordination of a mass and huge proportion trying to get a grip on what dangerous positions that the Biden administration has put us in.
It's a classified program, and I respect that. But now it's American people that are getting killed by the mistakes of it, and I hope that some transparency shined on it and the American people get a chance to weigh in on what they think about it. Real quick, before I let you go, I do want to ask you about this. President Trump is canceling executive orders. This is a big deal, big news. Obviously, the Afghan stuff is closer to me, but just look at this. This is 162 executive orders, 745 proclamations, 382 presidential documents. I can imagine there's a lot tied to all this, from budgeting to people's jobs. But the president says, hey, these were signed illegally, so we're doing away with them. What's your reaction to it?
Good. I think this should have been done a long time ago. There was conversations going back and forth, and so I want you to understand the last part of the True Social post that the president put down. He says if Joe Biden comes out and says that he did it, he'll be charged with perjury, because we already know that he didn't. Now, I paraphrase that. And so this has taken some time to make sure that we knew for a fact that Joe Biden didn't authorize this, that these individuals running the auto pen was running rogue outside the direct order of President Biden at the time. And so what President Trump is doing, he did it. This wasn't knee-jerk reaction. He took time to make sure that he was accurate before he made this statement. But now that he's made this statement, it's exactly spot on. He had these liberals that were more interested in DEI than they were doing what's best for this country, and they were signing executive order after executive order after executive order claiming to be Joe Biden, and Joe Biden had no idea what was happening.
There's a lot of power in the executive branch, but there's not power to be that, I don't know what you would call it, malicious almost against the American people. Senator Mark Wayne Mullin, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for the hard work you're doing, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.